Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Hector Del Castillo, and I'd like to welcome all of you to today's webcast. Today's topic is building high performing product management organizations. We will focus on discussing common challenges plaguing product management organizations and share insights to help you overcome them. I'd like to thank our supporters 280 Group for providing the electronic ebook that everybody will be getting. I also would like to thank Launch Podcast for providing and recording today's session as a podcast. And I would also like to thank Launch Workplaces for providing a great location for us to broadcast today's webcast. If you're on Twitter, I encourage you to follow me at HMDelCastillo and retweet any tweets that will be distributing during today's discussion. Also use hashtag business intelligence to share information with your followers. And everyone who participates in today's session will get a free electronic copy of the Phenomenal Product Manager book, courtesy of Brian Lawley from the 280 Group. Today's discussion will center around answering this question: why are some organizations better than others building great products? We will get into a more detailed discussion in today's talk. And the structure for today is we will talk about why most products fail. We will then discuss why product management matters. Then we will share insights regarding how to build high-performing product management organizations. We will summarize key takeaways, and we will have a Q&A portion of our discussion. We encourage all of you to submit your questions using the questions box in your client, and we will address questions during the Q&A portion of today's session. So why do most products fail? Before we get into more details, I actually would like to begin a poll to answer this question. Why do most new products fail? I would like to ask each of you to share from your perspective which one of these 5 different situations cause most new products to fail. Is it your value proposition is unclear? Is it that prospects don't know who you are? Is it that you don't understand buyer behavior? Is it that your offering lacks consistency? Or is it that you have inconsistent customer experience? We will give you a few seconds to respond, and then we will share the results and summarize with everyone. And I see that everybody has responded, so I will actually close the poll now, and I will share the results. So to summarize, most of you, 56%, believe that most new products fails because you don't understand buyer behavior. The second group at 33% believe that your value proposition is unclear. And the third group at 11% believe that it's the inconsistency of your customer experience that cause most new products to fail. In reality, it is the vendor's lack of understanding of buyer behavior that cause most new products to fail. So, matter of fact, a new study that was recently published by the MIT Sloan School of Management points out that the reason most vendors and most products fail within 2 years of introduction is because most vendors don't really understand buyer behavior. I also want to point out that achieving a steady flow of successful products is a daunting challenge for most product-driven organizations. Any of these reasons would typically cause products to fail, and failure means that products don't achieve profitability. Then when you look at the cost of investment of conceiving and building and scaling a product in order to introduce it to market, by the time the products are introduced, they don't get to profit. And as I mentioned, the study summarizes and concludes that most vendors don't focus enough on understanding how customers compare different products and how they make buying decisions. And this is not a very good situation. You can think that if you have one, two, three more failures, it's not a very sustainable situation for most organizations. As a matter of fact, Knuth Hannes from the Boston Consulting Group recently posted a video on TED Talks, and he concludes that the reason most companies fail is because they do more of the same without context, meaning vendors ignore market conditions, buyer behavior, and that introduces risk in the adoption of new products, risks that lead to failed products. And you can actually view the video on YouTube following the link at the bottom of the slide. So in reality, most vendors fail to anticipate business risk. And sometimes when the market tends to be complex, buyers and their buy behavior is volatile at best, or there may be ambiguity because of disruption in the marketplace, or perhaps even uncertainty because there's some socioeconomic factors that are against you and your competitors. These are all factors that no one controls and you need to anticipate in order to figure out how to reduce business risk. So why does management matter? And first, before we get going, I'd like to actually take a poll and invite all of you to answer the following question. What, in your mind, in your understanding, is the most important task for product managers? Do they lead product development? Is it to do win-loss analysis? Is it to increase product profitability? Or is it to talk to customers? We will give you a few seconds to respond and pick one of these four choices, and we will share the results. So I see that everyone has responded, so I will proceed to close the poll, and now I will share the results. So here we go. 90% of you, the majority of the group, believes that the most important task for product managers is to talk to customers. And there's a second group at 10% that believe that the most important task for product managers is to lead product development. And while these two are true, actually it is a third choice. The most important task for product managers is to figure out how to achieve profitability for the products they own and how to continue to increase the product profitability over time. And this is the challenge of most product managers. It's not only aligning activities that happen within your team, inside your building, so to speak, but it's also about understanding risk factors that are external to the organization and anticipate those in order to continue to create profit. So product management and product marketing are both critical functions within organizations, and both functions guide executives and managers and entrepreneurs to make smarter decisions and get better results from product investments. In fact, according to a recent CVS News survey, product management ranks fourth most valuable corporate position, and it's only ranked lower compared to CEOs, other executives, and general managers. And usually, both product managers and marketing managers get involved in discussions with executives, general managers, and other senior managers within the organization to ensure everybody understands the top priority in order for specific products to continue to be profitable. And product managers and product marketing managers don't really get involved with managing people. It really is more of a role of coordinating and conducting, directing rather than doing. It's about orchestrating everyone that is part of the team that is involved in the value creation process across the entire organization. So you can imagine a conductor of an orchestra. And while the conductor may actually have the knowledge to play an instrument, the conductor doesn't get involved in playing any instrument. The conductor doesn't get involved in singing or dancing while the performance is going. Rather, they ensure that everybody that is supposed to be there is available. They ensure that everybody that is part of the orchestra has the same sheet of music in front of them. And they also ensure that everybody understands when they're supposed to be playing and when they're supposed to be quiet. So both product management and product marketing are roles that work together to drive all aspects of a specific product. And it is the number of interfaces that is often challenging for most anyone that is either a product manager or a product marketing manager to be able to coordinate across all the different functions that touch a specific product that they own. So let's talk about some of the challenges. And actually, these challenges are part of the results of a survey that was published by the 280 Group in October of 2015. And these are the challenges that were identified as part of the survey results. The survey itself consisted of over 850 responses of all sorts of product managers and product marketing managers. And this went across industries, across products, and different types of businesses, different types of companies. So the first set of challenges we're going to be talking about have to deal with the people. the people who are in the role of product management or product marketing. And the first issue that was identified is that 57% of respondents stated that their role is too tactical rather than strategic. Second issue is that 43% of product managers feel they're not able to effectively influence engineering or management. The next point is that 56% of product management and product marketing executives indicated that the skill level of their people was average or below. And finally, 38% of respondents feel they are not viewed as effective leaders. So if your role is to be a conductor, how effective are you going to be when no one in the orchestra is listening or following what you're doing? So this is the first set of challenges that were identified. The second set has to do with process, and the 280 group identifies three different levels of process maturity as adopted by organizations. The first level is ad hoc, where you have little or no processes. Your roles are not very well defined. You tend to be reactive, and the company doesn't value the role of either product manager or product marketing manager. The second level is a partially defined level, and that is you may have some or perhaps informal processes. You may have some roles that are clearer than others, but most everyone tends to be tactical rather than strategic. The third level is the optimized level. And this is where you have clear processes that are understood by everyone. The roles are also clear, and you have strategic leaders and then also those responsible for executing. And within organizations, you want to be at the optimized level because it has been shown in multiple studies that the optimized level is the only way that organizations are able to effectively reduce time to market and become very effective at not just planning but also executing and getting the right results. So before we talk about the outcome, I actually wanted to do another poll, and I want to ask all of you, based on these three levels, where do you believe your company is at today? Are you in the ad hoc mode, or are you in the partially defined mode, or are you in the optimized state? We will give you a few seconds to respond, and then we will share the results. And then we will proceed to compare the results to the findings from the 280 group survey. So I see that everyone has responded. I will proceed to close the poll, and then I will share the results now. And here we go. So the audience is equally divided among organizations that are in the ad hoc level and organizations that are in the partially defined level, and none are in the optimized state. And this is very similar to the findings of the survey. So we will now present challenges that have to deal with process. So the first thing is that 42% of product management and product marketing executives indicated that their biggest challenge is process. Right around 42%. Furthermore, 51.7% of companies understand that the process is not well defined, meaning they're inconsistent and they're not equally applied across different products that are part of the company's portfolio. 49.2% of companies do not use a consistent process. And finally, 70% of companies have product managers that are also product owners. And if you understand roles and responsibilities, the role of a product owner is very different than a product manager. A product owner is responsible for making day-to-day decisions about product improvements and leads product development, whereas a product manager focuses on other things that have to do with adoption, that have to do with coordinating other parts of the organization that need to understand and track things that are going on in market, with the competitors, with collaborators, and also are tracking buyer behavior. And all of these things, people and process, all these challenges are reduced to one thing: products that are not profitable. And therefore, the results that we discussed in the opening of this discussion. So when it came to talk about profit of products, the same survey shows that only 29% of executives completely understand the role of product management. And this includes also the function of product marketing. So what this is saying is that most executives in these organizations don't really know what a product manager should be doing versus other managers within the organization. And the same applies to product marketing. On average, 21% of products fail to meet customer needs. This is the response from product managers, and product executives are saying that on average, 21% of products in their portfolio fail to meet customer needs, and therefore no profit or reduced profitability. Also, product managers estimate that if they would work at achieving the optimized state, on average, profit would increase by 34%. So this should give you a good idea of what it would mean to be able to reach the optimized state for your organizations. So to summarize, most organizations have deficiencies in both people and process and structure, and all of these impact the profitability of products in the portfolio. So now that we understand the challenges, let's talk about 7 steps that you can take to build a high-performing product management organization within your company. So the first step is you've got to get executive buy-in. When you have any of these problems, if you are in the ad hoc state or in the partially defined state, I would recommend that you reach out to your executives and get their buy-in that something needs to get done, and that they would support you in ensuring that whatever you find and whatever recommendations are made are given top priority so that deficiencies can be addressed. And because often any deficiencies and the resolution of deficiencies require changes within the organization, you've got to get executive buy-in. And this is not just one executive, this is everyone and as many stakeholders within the executive team get their buy-in first. Second step is, if you're in an organization where few or no one in your C-suite understands the roles of product management and product marketing, you've got to educate them first. And if you need help, the 280 Group recently published a 5.5-minute video that is available for free on YouTube that talks about the critical importance of product management. And this is a great way to begin educating your C-suite. And the link at the bottom of the slide is where you can access the video on YouTube and share it with others in your organization. The third step is you got to create a realistic plan. Once you understand what is going on, you've got to come up with a plan and a way to assess the current situation within your company and then create a plan that can be executed. And in order to ensure you have a realistic plan, the objectives have to be devised for execution. So objectives need to be specific and measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. But also, you've got to have a way to assign success, evaluate success, and figure out what things are going well and what things still need to further improvement so that over time you can readjust. And so your objectives must be smarter. The fourth step after you have a plan is to begin defining a clear process. And a clear process starts with understanding the product lifecycle and all the steps that are part of any product, from conceive to development to launch into a market to continuing to maintain them in market until the time that they have to be retired. Process is very much like a playbook. And a playbook in any team sport is a way to understand who is in defense, who is on offense, who is in special teams, what game you're playing, and what are the things that you're going to do in order to win the game. And most important, understanding what game you're in and how much time you have before the clock expires. And any process will require collaboration across functions, across departments, and may entail a different number of resources, and you have to encourage collaboration. And you would encourage collaboration by focusing on clarifying the roles of each and every one of your team members so they all know who's on defense, who is on offense, and who is on special teams, and allow them the ability to define how tasks are accomplished. The most important thing is to clarify the roles first and make sure that everybody in the team understands their role and responsibilities. The fifth step entails training your product team. Once you have the process in place and everybody knows the tasks, who's going to be involved, how long, and what is the deliverable, you've got to ensure that everyone, not just the product managers and the product marketing managers, but everyone who's part of the team understands the process and understands when product management leads and when they're contributing to information based on knowledge that they're bringing into the team. And part of it is really understanding and having clarity as to what is a viable product. And a viable product has all three of these characteristics. It must be valuable to customers and prospects. It must be feasible, meaning the organization has the right resources, the right expertise, and the right systems to be able to execute on anything that has to do about that product. And the product must also be scalable, meaning that with very little additional effort, you can sustain and support nonlinear growth in adoption with very little additional effort needed by anyone within the organization. And when you think about this, very few products actually satisfy all three of these categories. And often, product management and product marketing are the roles that need to understand what is that sweet spot of a viable product that has a purpose in the market, has not just one, but often multiple groups of customers who are looking for a solution, and that from a company's point of view, it helps meet the business strategy and the organization is suited to execute on whatever task is needed to move that product and bring it to market. And how do they do this? By reducing the level of effort and reducing time to product market fit. So when you look at this, there are two different sets of activities. The first one is all about understanding the situation in the market and with customers. It's understanding the competitive landscape in addition to buyer behavior. And the second track, it's all about product. How do you conceive? How do you develop? How do you align with collaborators, suppliers, partners, and others to help you create value and then deliver that value to your target customers? And how do you continue to improve and support that product once it is in market? And where most organizations struggle is in understanding the balance of the assignment of resources and funding across both tracks, and not just emphasize one track or the other. In any step of a product lifecycle, product management and product marketing are key to understanding what is the right balance in investment across both tracks. And depending on what's happening in market and with buyers, it's not always going to be the same as you go from one step to another of the product's life cycle. So it's really key for these roles to be able to continue to gauge what is going on, not just inside the organization, but also outside in the market and with customers, in order to guide critical decisions that have to do about investment across both tracks for a specific product. Step number 6, define tasks and deliverables. And what I mean by that is that everybody should be clear as to what are the deliverables. Usually are documents that would communicate the strategy that applies to a specific product, and yet other documents that are about the execution of activities and tasks. and how these change as you go from one step to another within a product's life cycle. And finally, looking at ways to measure in order for you to evaluate, in order for you to manage, or in order for the product management team members to be able to manage, they've got to measure. And you want to make sure that you're measuring all sorts of different parameters that will help you understand whether or not you're achieving success. And for that, what you need to do is benchmark. Benchmark not just the performance of individual members, but the team as well, in addition to process and tools, best practices that entail all of those things that involve people, tasks, functions, tools, and measure and benchmark, not just internal to the organization across products, but also outside. Benchmark competitors and benchmark the performance against others in your industry and adjacent industries. So that summarizes the 7 different steps. And here are the key takeaways. So to summarize, you want to start whenever you're seeing any kind of evidence that you might have some issues that have to do with either people or processes involving product managers and product marketing managers. These are the key steps. Number 1, ensure that your executives agree that you have issues and that those issues need to be prioritized in order for those issues to be resolved. Number 2, focus on educating everyone in the C-suite to ensure they understand what product management and product marketing roles are and what they are not. Then move on to creating a plan that allows you to start looking at how are you going to start executing during different steps of a product's life cycle. Move on to define a process and ensure everybody in the product team understands what that process is. Define the tasks, define the roles and the deliverables, and also measure, attach metrics so you can evaluate success. So these are the 7 steps in order to resolve any issues in order to build high-performing product management organization. So now, before we get into the Q&A portion of today's discussion, here's some information that you're going to be receiving, references for further reading, and if you need help, reach out to me and we can set up a half-hour appointment where we can talk about ways of solving your problem or challenge. And here are some upcoming courses. If you want to become an exceptional product leader, here are 2 courses that are coming up in May in the DC metro area. And if you use the promo code provided, you can save $100 when you register for any of these courses. You can also feel free to contact Mimi at the 280 Group for more information. And here's another course that's coming up in Maryland. And this will be actually next week, 2 half days. This course is sponsored by Maryland TEDCO on behalf of the Business Innovation Network. And it actually is a course that focuses on ensuring executives, business owners, and entrepreneurs understand the process for building great products customers love. I will be leading this training, and you can find more information by clicking on the link at the bottom of the slide, and you can register as well. And we will continue this webcast series next week. We are in the process of adding more topics, more speakers, and we will be adding those in the next few weeks to continue the series. And if you have any topics of interest or speakers to recommend, ask them to reach out to me so we can discuss an adequate date when we can schedule those topics and speakers. So with this, I'd like to begin the Q&A and remind all of you that you can use the questions box to submit your questions, and we will answer questions as time permits. So the first question that I see is, what is the best approach to get executive buy-in? So step one, as I spoke about, is to get buy-in from executives. And if you're in product management or product marketing, you're already working with some executives. Usually, if you're reporting to someone, you're reporting to a director or a VP of product. And you want to ensure that you're working with other executives, your CFO, your chief marketing officer, perhaps even your CIO, your CTO. These are all different types of executive positions, and you want to make sure that you are at least understanding who are the influencers of a decision to proceed on to the next step. So usually you will start with the VP of product or whoever owns product management or product marketing. And if you need help, be sure to reach out to me and I can at least point you in the right direction. Let me know if you need any more clarification on my answer. Here's another question. And this question has to do with, how do I apply business strategy for a nonprofit organization? So let me first clarify that a nonprofit, it is still a business, and therefore you can apply a business strategy. The main difference is that as a nonprofit, you have a different business model, but you still have stakeholders that you are providing solutions for. And if you really look at the core of any nonprofit organization, whether you are a volunteer-based organization or a member-based organization, your product is to provide services to specific portions of the community, specific portions of the local population that is underserved by anyone else. And so you can still manage your services as products. The main difference is that the way you are looking to fund any initiatives or any activities that are needed to service whoever your target audience is, you have a different way of raising funds to execute on those activities. such as fundraising or looking for sponsors or applying for grants. Either way, you will need not just the resources and the knowledge and skills and processes to execute, you would also need to find the proper level of funding to be able to perform and deliver the services that allow your organization to achieve its mission. So being a nonprofit doesn't mean that you have no profit. It only means that your revenue streams are not necessarily coming from those that you're servicing. Your customers, so to speak, are really more like users because they're not necessarily buying anything from you, but they sure are depending on you to provide critical services that they need. So I hope that answers your question. And as we're waiting for additional questions, I would like to let you know that the link, the download link shown at the top of this slide, is where you can download the electronic copy of the Phenomenal Product Manager book. So use this to be able to download and get your copy of the Phenomenal Product Manager book, courtesy of Brian Lawley from the 280 Group. You can also get free stuff from the 280 Group's website directly. The second link will guide you to a page where you can actually access free stuff that is available, useful resources when you are a product manager or a product marketing manager. So it looks like there's no more questions, and I want to thank all of you for your attention, and I want to thank all of you for participating in today's discussion and being so active in responding to the polls. And I also want to point out that if you need help or if you have any questions regarding any of the material that we covered today, feel free to reach out to me, and you can contact me through my website. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or follow me on Twitter, and we can set up a time when we can talk further about ways that I can help you. So once again, thank you very much for your attention, and I hope to see you again next week during next week's webcast. Thank you very much.